care and feeding of your favorite game reviewer. Carolyn is the COO of Genesis Advanced Technologies, but also remains a gamer girl in her leisure hours. She has participated in a lot of volunteer GM programs, and then moved on to freelance game writing in 2004. She currently writes for Beckett Magazine's MMORPG.com, commonsensemedia.org, and she's previously written for Escapist Magazine, PC, IGN, and InsideSocialGames.com. Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you. And just to start, I was wondering what the makeup of my audience is, so I could tweak or maybe talk about other things along the way. Who's in PR, community, and marketing? No one. Oh, one. Okay. Who's just here to learn more about who has a game startup and they're trying to figure out how to talk to or get the notice of media? Half. Okay. And who else is everybody else?
Media.
Media. Yeah. Media yourself. Oh, that's scary. Okay, let's start off like I described, let's start off with who's the generic game reviewer? Is there such a thing as a generic game reviewer? Short answer, no. Not at all. Now, he is likely between the age of 18 and 30. He comes from all walks of life and other full-time jobs, but a good majority of them are still in school. You'll find that a lot of them are still in college, and some of them are actually in high school. We are talking about mainly online magazines right now. Now, she is the interesting one, because she is between the age of 18 and 55. The reason is that it stands to reason if older women are playing the casual and social games, that they are the ones that are also reviewing it. The mommy bloggers also fall into this group. They are tech-savvy women who have mostly chosen to leave the world they are and the industry, not the world, geez, the industry they are in and stay home with the kids. Most of these reviewers are working for free. Their only pay being the game, the compensation like a trip to a game studio, or else very little pay. They all work remotely, and for many, a pass to E3 or a trip to the game studio and accompanying swag are really the ultimate rewards for their hard work. Now, I myself work part-time as a game reviewer, but I've done this for over 10 years. And here's a gratuitous plug of what I do in my daytime. I make high-end loudspeakers. And that is my day job. However, for all these reviewers, they do have common traits. They are passionate about gaming. Let's face it, no one's going to review an MMO if they aren't passionate about the game. It takes 20 to 40 hours of play, in-game play, before you can even know a little bit, a part of the game that you're reviewing. They all love to play games. And not only that, they want to love your game. They want to talk about it. They want to brag about their review. They want to tell all their friends about this great game they found and that they totally love. And finally, we get to the meaty part of my talk, the care and feeding of the reviewer. But first of all, you have to attract their attention. Reviewers get hundreds of emails a day, all of them pitching games. Some may be total spam because your email's out there for everyone to get and every bot to get. So how do you catch the eye of the reviewer? The most information you can get in the subject line helps. So skip the all caps. It's not only annoying, you can get more information if you use sentence caps. Secondly, you want to insert the game, the genre, the platform, and the timing. Like timing meaning whether it's in beta, whether it launches today, whether it launches in a year, 6 months, because that helps the reviewer. Reviewers also, most of them are very specialized. If it's a kid, maybe he only has a PS3. if he has to filter through 100 emails that doesn't tell him what this game is about, reading every single one, and while he has a job or is going to school, that's kind of tough. You know, don't assume that just because your game has been out in a while that everybody knows what it is, because you're trying also to catch the eye of the new reviewer, and there are new reviewers and new game sites coming out almost every day. Also, when a reviewer goes to a convention, depending on what kind of convention, you are always lumped into one group, media. You may be reviewing hardware, you may be reviewing only mobile games, you may only be reviewing MMORPG, but your PR company is not going to know when they get this entire list of 1,000 people that's all lumped under media. Analysts, editors, news editors, everybody gets lumped under media. If you can filter that list, again, that helps you target your reviewers. And when you send out emails, provide a link to assets rather than linking all your assets to the game, to your email, because one of the most annoying things imaginable is when you are at a convention, sharing that Wi-Fi with hundreds of other users, and you can't get your email because somebody has sent you unsolicited assets, megabytes and mega gigs of assets. And that just leaves a bad taste in the mouth. You know, you are going to look at it, oh, I hate this company. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them forever, because I can't get my email because of them. Now, I'm going to show you a few examples from emails that I've culled so you can see what I mean by good emails and bad email headings. These aren't bad. Exxon Runners glides into mobile today. But they could have added a little bit more to tell me what sort of game it is. It's a, 3 words, futuristic action game. Would tell me immediately whether I want to open this or not. Beta and video. Lotro, Riders of Rohan beta launches today, mounted combat video. That tells me immediately what's the content of the email. But you have to realize that only the big guys can do that. Lotro, SWTORL, GW2. Because if your game is not that well known, you better write out the entire name. Then we have Majesco announces 2 new mobile games, preview accounts and assets available. Ooh, preview accounts. Remember, a lot of these writers aren't compensated. If you've got a preview account, they can pitch the editor. Says, hey, I've got this preview account, can I review this? Also, right there you know what it is. It's a mobile game. It's a Majesco. I love this one. Queen bestows royal opening on the world's largest street party. Was that spam? Was there something from my travel agency? Or take a guess. No, it's not for Ebony. It's for RuneScape. RuneScape, JGAX. They are from the UK, and at the Queen's Jubilee, they had an event. It's a game event. I sure as heck didn't know what it was. Am I going to open this? I don't know. I think it's spam, but I opened it anyway. This was good. Warner Brothers digital press release. Warner Premiere secures rights to develop web series for highly anticipated futuristic mech shooter game. About half of that scrolled off the page. And Hawken didn't even make the subject line. And it turns out what it is? It's not even about the game. It's about the digital movie thing. I was pretty disappointed when I looked at that one. And then the last one is Tynon reveals new serpent race and recruitable heroes. I think you can see what's the problem with that one. But these are the emails I get every day. So the more targeted your email can be, the better results you'll get at attracting the media eye and the right recruiter. Okay, now you've attracted the media eye, the editor or a reviewer. what can you do to make sure you get a good review? You need to know your outlet and your audience. I was writing for PCIGN when I saw this opening to a review once. It said, "I don't know what I did to piss my editor off, but I'm reviewing this kid's game." You know you're not going to get a good review from that. So you need to know your outlets. MMORPG.com, for example, trends young, but they also do have a lot of parents that are looking for games to play with their children, because these are the gamers that played since Ultima Online and EverQuest. PC.ign.com, trends very young. They will tell you straight away that their audience is 18 to 25 males. And they also franchise to their other Fox outlets like AskMen.com. Testosterone or what? So you need to know your audience. Inside Social Games audience, interestingly enough, is not Facebook game players. It is actually developers and analysts. What else do I have? Oh, Common Sense Media, commonsensemedia.org. That's a parental advisory, totally. So, you know, I have a lot of people pitching me saying, can you do this news for Common Sense Media? We've got this great new kids game. It's like, have you actually looked at the site? We don't do news. So there's a lot of things like going on like that. And you want to know your audience, you want to know your outlet. Now let's go down the slide. One is provide the game and assets. You'd be amazed how long it takes sometimes to get a game code. I've also received game codes for wrong games and game codes that don't work. 2 weeks later, finally the right game code comes down, but you know you have lost the great big nice lovely window when your game launched. You want to be immediate. The sites also want to be timely. Now, provide a reviewer's guide. I think this is a very important point that a lot of game studios are not providing. There is a lot of information, a lot of content that the reviewer has to get through. And this is your time to shine. You want to tell the reviewer, oh, look at this part, we've got a great thing going here and there. Because I might, especially for MMOs, what if I go a different direction and I miss out completely? That's very possible. And as an example, again, I reviewed a kid's game. It's a really neat game, actually. It's called Royal Trouble, Hidden Adventure, and I reviewed it for Common Sense Media. I thought I had finished the game when the two protagonists walked across the bridge, hand in hand into the sunset. Then I gave it to my 9-year-old niece to play. I make all my nieces and nephews play kids' games after I play them, so I can do a check to see that, you know, they are playing the game or liking the game the same way I do. Then my niece was telling me all about this game, and her favorite part was when the prince and princess walked hand in hand over the bridge and the bridge collapsed! Which meant I had missed half the game. You know, I had missed half the game. If I had a reviewer's guide that told me, didn't spoil it, but said, oh, make sure you cross the bridge, I would have realized that there was still another half a game to play. My first thought when I played that game was, gee, it's kind of short for a $10 game, but my niece proved me wrong. Then that's going down. Be prepared to answer questions and quickly. Because again, all writers are under deadline. They have to write in a certain time, they have to provide it in a certain time. If they're looking for an answer, you don't provide it in time, this is, whoops, deadline. I guess I'll skip that, or I'll write something, and it may be incorrect. If it's online, it's not so bad trying to change it, but if it's print, you're dead completely. If you do any FTP games, you want to provide in-game coin, and it's very important to provide a description of what's in the shop, because gamers, readers are still very wary of free-to-play games and what they perceive as, oh, you have to spend to win. So let the reviewer know, provide him a little game coin, You can always provide a game account that lasts a month and cancel it. Because why does he need it longer than that? And if you're afraid of, spoiling your economy or somebody going out and doing silly things with the money, that prevents it totally. But if you tell if you tell a reviewer that your game is totally pay for fun, and he goes into your game shop and finds the sort of Uber death dealing, it's not going to be good. For online games, if it's possible, it's always good to provide a dev interview, in-game tour opportunity as applicable. A lot of game companies nowadays are actually even providing guilds for media to play in, and then they have QA types in the guilds to help them along. Because a lot of times for online games, FPS shooters, for MMOs, there is a lot of game content that has to be experienced by high level, and they also provide high level characters. Well, that's about it for the reviews. For reviewer TLC, as somebody has asked about, is that know the outlets. As much as I encourage new writers to know about the game or the studio that they are writing about, you guys should know the same. Don't brush them off, because the kids that writing for a 2-bit blogger today might be writing for a real big, important magazine the next year. This E3, the COO and Director of Industry Relations switched one of my appointments out because they wanted to meet this particular company. They got the big brush off. Try fixing that relationship. And finally, writers' opinions are formed by their experience. What I mean by that is, for example, if you grew up, or if this writer, his first MMO experience was World of Warcraft, he might find that anything that's even slightly grindy to be awful. If his first experience was Final Fantasy, EverQuest, one of the older ones, he might think it's part of the game. So writers will be as honest as their experience allows them to be. And don't get mad at them for being honest. And that's it. Questions? Perfect timing. Questions? Yes?
Sorry, you mentioned that they want to love your games, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I think one of my concerns as I approach talking to reviewers and things is I don't want them to write, dismiss me as whatever, I'm worried they're going to would you say that's really kind of true, and they won't like your games, and I'm worried they're going to hear more of the oh, it's just like some other game, or it's, something that's not very nice.
What you want to do is work with your editor, work with the editor of the outlet to find the right writer. And that's important. For example, like I talked about that writer for PCIGN who had made that remark about the kids' game. You have to find the right writer. If he is not familiar with your type of games, if he you won't get a fair shot. But it happens all the time, unfortunately, because competition is so great. There are all these writers out there. 99% of them don't get paid. They don't do a great job, unfortunately.
I just want to actually disagree with that point. My name is Sam Muskowicz. I write for The Daily, which is a magazine on the iPad. It's an app, and they're lead games and apps guy, and I hope you don't mind me saying a couple things.
Oh, go right ahead.
So, in 16 years of writing about games, I've almost always been the initiator. I've always been the one as a critic who's reached out to an outlet and said, this is where I come from, this is a game that's my genre, this is a game that's my speed, I want this. There are a lot of writers who are very hungry to be published and tend to push in that direction as a result, because it's usually not staff positions. It's a lot of freelance. It's the hungriest and most vocal go first, especially if an editor's too busy dealing with just the general infrastructure to even go by case. So understanding your target critic and reaching out to that target critic accordingly. If someone writes me an email that makes it sound like they've read what I've specifically done, I am so much more likely to keep on reading that email. If they reach out to me with access and an understanding of what I like to do, which tends to be more interview-driven stuff, then I'm way more likely to go, all right, I want to try this. To me, the best thing a game maker can do is to give me access, not free things. I don't do this because I want free video games. I have like a stack of games at the house because I've been doing this so long. I have no shortage of games. But what I do have a shortage of is that feeling of access, talking to the developer, talking, getting enough time with the game, getting a timetable, what's coming when. My favorite thing, honestly, is getting like super early access and repeated updates. Spelunky, which just launched on Xbox Live, I got a copy of that 2 months before it came out because of the debug Xbox. And PC with PC and smartphone, that's even easier. Test flight makes that really easy too on iOS. Getting to a critic in that state and saying, here's our test flight build. There's actually a game called Gasket Ball that I'm super excited about because I've had time with it. And free-to-play lets you kind of do the same thing too with an even wider audience than just critics. So the sense of access and that feeling of respect that you get that I'm a grown-up, this is my job. It's not like, oh, I want a free game. From there, you get so much more honest dialogue, and you have that relationship to where even if I'm negative, it's still coming from a fair point. Like, you're a human. The people make the game are human. So that, to me, would be a big takeaway for especially a casually focused show like this, is that sense of treating us like grown-ups. Access, time, attention, and rapport.
Very good points. Any additional questions?
Yes.
I think you talked a little bit about this, and perhaps maybe missed some of the details, but as far as the emails that you receive, like the body of the email, are things like, how many screenshots is the right number to have, like just the way that the assets are presented to you, like the right volume in the body of the email, etc., things like that. I mean, you talked about the review points for the bullet points for viewer and stuff like that, and the features and whatnot, but like, what's the ideal composition for that body for you to read it and really pay attention?
So the question is about how many assets in the email, essentially, the balance.
Yeah, the body.
Okay, of the body, yes.
Most of the time, I want to know about the game. I really want to know what the game is like, what the game is about, and the link to the assets is what I'm looking for. And what you should put in the assets is game logo, description of the game, key players, maybe that can be important if you're hoping for an interview, and also a link to screenshots. Don't send the screenshots. Give them a link. Unless you have the ability to make really small screenshots and attach them, then you want 3 to 5 maybe. But always link the screenshots because every outlet has their own size that they want them to be, and also make sure you always have in your back pocket somewhere print ready. I write for a print magazine as well, and sometimes it takes forever to get print-ready shots because they said, oh, it's a mobile game. My assets are this big and 300 pixels. So you really want that because, yeah, I can use it in my on a print magazine, but it's going to look like crap.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today, but I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for the wonderful presentation. I hope you enjoyed the intro track.